Hello, I am Dexpa and welcome to the tutorial for a more mellow Pulsar-23. We're gonna play filters, we're gonna ping filters, we're gonna sequence, and we're gonna play live with some modulation. Let's start by breaking down what was going on with the patch you heard at the beginning of this video. The first sound you hear is the bass module, doing the heavy work with both the oscillator and the ping filter playing. And we're gonna talk about pinging filters later. We also have some modulation going on the warp knob, tamed using the attenuator on the left. Next enters the hi-hat module with the filter played, not ping this time. Pitch modulation is coming from the LFO, then right into the onboard pitch shifting delay. Snare drum is just sequenced, with the gates coming from the Shayos module for all the three voices. Last, we have the bass drum, used as a tonal voice. Long attack to hide the kick nature of the instrument, and modulation coming from the Touch CV, situated on the extreme lower right corner. That way we will be able to pitch bend in a very musical and organic way. Let's move on to creating something new. I will keep a little of reverb on in order to keep these buzzes more pleasant, but nothing too distracting. A filter ping is the act of feeding a gate into the audio input of an almost self-oscillating low-pass gate. This is different from the act of playing the resonance of a filter by changing the cutoff value. Even though on the Pulsar these two concepts are not very far apart in results. One of the main problems with the Pulsar is the inability of separating the filter from the oscillator part. In order to obtain an almost clean ping, we will have to tune the bass all the way down, becoming almost inaudible. The next step is feeding some gate impulse to the X of the low-pass filter, like I did here, coming from the LFO, so you have a little bit more of control. Please also note the X pin has two arrows, so it works simultaneously as an input and an output. Now our filter is technically pinging already, but we will also need some gate to the voice in order to hear what we're doing. I will use the stable 10 volts pin in order to keep the gate open. Going onto the trig pin. This ping will never be optimal, but I think the result is cool enough and it will grant us almost an extra voice since we're using the bass module twice. To maximize the effectiveness, we can patch the gate going to the filter and the one playing the voice to the same source, like this. But if we are looking for something more unpredictable, we can mix and match like this. work on the pitch of our pings, we will use some modulation going into the cutoff modulation, and here I'm using the 3-bit output from the Chaos module. Otherwise it will sound like that. And with the 3-bit we will have 3 range of values. Now with some delay. While the bass filter is the most pingable, the hi-hat filter is definitely the most playable. It sounds less harsh than the bandpass filter on the clap snare drum module, and it also behaves more linearly. In other words, better for raindrops and chirps. In order to play a filter, we just have to make it self-oscillate, then send a gate to the trigger. Now I am still using the 10 volts to have a stable note out of it. And then some modulation to the cutoff, since now that became our tune knob, as you can hear. Resonance to the max. And here we go with the cutoff. That's not really pleasant, so we will add some modulation coming from the 3-bit of the Chaos, and we'll fix some of the range using the attenuator. So let's try, this would be the complete range. And with the attenuator, you can go down like this. Okay. And again, we can mix and match the rhythm with the modulation. And add some delay. And use the resonance as a harshness setting control. Less resonance, more gentle the sound, or very sharp with the resonance cranked to the max. Here we go, we have water and cute little birds. Now add some delay, reverb, and you're set for some intense Instagram music recording. We're using improperly all the features of this drum machine and we ran out of tonal voices. Now we're gonna repurpose the bass drum too in order to obtain a very warm, almost cello-like voice. This is how it sounds normally. And to make it more mellow, we have to turn the tune pretty high and make the attacks lower while turning down the pitch. Just add some drive to taste. And you're ready. I will turn on the reverb now. And the modulation you're hearing now comes from the pedal, not the pulsar. Now, for the pitch bend stuff, we have to finesse the knob turning. On the lower right side of the pulsar, there are two CV modulation contact points, and they are surprisingly musical and organic, responding to the amount of finger you close the contact with. Connect one of these with the modulation input on the bass drum, and then start fiddling with the amount knob in order to obtain a usable result. Let's try to do that. And I will again use the 10-volt output for the trig, so we will have a stable note coming out of the bass drum. Okay. You can have a wide range set on the amount, but then you will have to be really accurate with the CV touch plate, something that is not realistically going to happen. In the intro, I set everything to just go up a semitone, way more manageable and forgiving. Let's try again. Amount to the max. Let's try to make a semitone. Sounds fine to me. And here it is, some extra spice to move the pitch without having to turn a pitch knob and pray for the best. I've thrashed so many recordings because of bad pitch landing. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and if you like the video, consider subscribing. But in any case, see you next time.